So if you have ever wondered about pattern hacking, or if you've thought about buying a pattern but you didn't like exactly how it looked and thought maybe you could alter it, this is the video for you. We're gonna hang out and we're gonna alter a pattern that I've already done before, and we're gonna make it into an entirely new vibe, hopefully. And yeah, so let's just jump right in. Okay, I thought I had a better picture of it, or a better drawing, but so kind of this. So we're using the open back smock top pattern, tank top pattern by Matchy Matchy Sewing Club. And this was one of the first patterns that I've ever used, and it is very simple. It fit me perfectly, the top, and the first one that I made was really just like a toile, but I've worn it a ton. And so now I want to make it my own. So I want it to have like a scalloped edge, a squiggly, wiggly edge. So the only thing that really I'll have to do differently for this is to have facing, and is to have facing on the bottom or around wherever it's squiggly, having facing, which I did not. I just had a straight hem for when I made it the first time. Okay, here's my pattern folder. This is not the best way to organize this, I'm aware. Doing my best. Oh, here we go. Open back smock top. Wow, I really need a better system. Okay, here's my pattern. Okay, so it looks like I made a large the first time. So the edge is pretty angular right now, and so basically I'm just going to soften it with a squiggle all the way around. And instead of making up my own new squiggle and hoping that it's accurate, I think I have my pattern piece from the Wiggle pattern by Christina. Yes, the Wiggle pattern. Okay, yay. This is why it's worth it to buy the pattern sometimes, because then you have this like really perfect squiggle to use in other stuff. Okay, I feel like this is a good squiggle, and maybe I was imagining it just a little bit wider. I think it'll do though. It's like not quite as scallopy, I think, as I imagined. Maybe like deeper scallops, but the squiggles that are like on the lines of this fabric, I feel are kind of this wiggly. This wiggly squiggle. So yes, so we're gonna use this. I was doubting it for a moment, but I think this will work. I think if I just kind of move it around the pattern. Okay, so this is one of my worst sketches, but this is kind of what I'm imagining. So kind of rounding this angle here in the back and then adding the scallop to the rounded angle, because I think that makes more sense. I'm lining it because this angle is not going to work to hem, so it's going to have to be a facing around the edge, all the way around the outside. Just thinking out loud about what needs to be done. Okay, so I think that I am going to just cut out the pieces as they are like this, and then add the squiggle after. So I will cut out two front, two back, obviously, and then the facing will also be cut to match the original pattern, because I will sew the pieces together as I make the squiggle. I always get ahead of myself when I'm telling you what steps are coming. One step at a time, please. This is how my brain gets out of control. Okay, so next step is to cut the main fabric and the facing, which I think I'm gonna use just the same fabric. Yeah, the only thing is that we have this extra room for the button placket on the back, so I might cut it just a little bit less. I still think I want it to overlap a good amount, so maybe just to like this first fold line. So we have 4 pieces and hopefully, or 5 pieces. Hopefully I didn't completely mess it up. So this is like my bottom panel for the facing. And what do we have here? Here's my back panel for the facing. So I'm gonna put these right sides together and then I'm gonna trace out my scallop. So by right sides together, I mean I'm gonna put my facing piece, which is like, goes around the outside. Right sides together with my back piece or regular piece, and then trace out the squiggle. Okay, so I traced my squiggles onto here. I don't think you can even see it really, but I think it's in a decent kind of curve and going up, but then I realized that I can't exactly replicate that, which is why we should have made a pattern for it, but whatever. So I'm gonna sew this one first, see how it is, and then use it to draw onto the next one. And hopefully this works. I'm excited. Okay, so I just need to find some decent thread, and then we're sewing right sides together along the squiggle to get my scallop. Okay, these lines don't look terrible. Could be worse. So now we trim. I'm gonna use my pinking shears and then turn out and check if we have a wavy edge. Okay, moment of truth. Got something. Trust the process. We've got some nubs. I don't know, this might be okay. I gotta press it to really see, I think. I think I decided that I do like it. So as long as it doesn't look like points, I think it's cute. So I'm going to press this out really nicely and then use it as a pattern for the other side, and we'll get into that, and then we just need to do the front. Okay, so I got so excited when I saw the finished edge that I just powered through and did the rest of the facing. Looks pretty good. I mean, if you look close, it's kind of rough, but we get the general idea. So I did this onto all 3 pieces. I did the front separately with the squiggle, and then for the facing, I just finished it with a zigzag. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I left enough that if I need to, I could do like a folded hem later, but I think this is okay. I've never used facing like this before, so I'm not really sure how you're exactly supposed to do it, but the edge is finished. So now I just need to assemble the pieces. So I'm just gonna attach right sides together at the shoulders and then the side seams. Right, so one thing I did not do was think ahead and do French seams. So I just did regular old seams. So these are probably all gonna have to be zigzagged as well. But she's together, and all that's left is the binding around the neck and armpits, and then the button and buttonhole, I think, and to finish the seams as well. So pretty good spot. So I think it's time to take a little break. I'm gonna have a little dinner, and then maybe we'll finish this tonight. I don't know, if we're lucky, if I have enough binding. I'm feeling pretty good about it. The squiggles are, I give it like a 7 out of 10 on the squiggles. Like, they're not perfect, but they are giving a little bit of something. All right, a little update before it gets dark. Hold on. The cat's on top of it. Okay. So, excuse me. I came back and I I zigzagged the side seams inside so that those are finished. Oh, and I top stitched all the way around the squiggly part. But as I was rewinding my bobbin, I realized I have almost none of this purple left. So hopefully it'll get around to finish the bias. We'll see. But I've switched to just some white thread for the next few steps until everything's visible. So I was just kind of looking at the back to see like how it's fitting and where I want the button to go and whether I should button it all the way. Not sure. But either way, I think I'm gonna do the bias next. So this, if you're wondering about this method, I did a video a couple weeks ago with my like new favorite ways to level up your sewing, garment sewing game easily, and this is one of the things. So if you want to see exactly how I do this binding method, go check that video out. But basically, we're gonna put right sides together. We're gonna sew into the channel here, the fold of the binding. This is pre-folded binding, pre-whatever. And then we'll flip it, we'll roll it, and we will top stitch it down to the wrong side. So, all right, y'all. So I had to sleep and work and eat, but now we're back, and I think we can finish this bad boy today. So there's just a couple things left. So when I tried it on, I noticed at the back, I should have taken off a little bit more from where the black button placket was, because it's kind of overlapping quite a bit, but it's fine. So I think that instead of doing a buttonhole, I'm just gonna sew, excuse me, I'm just gonna sew the button onto both layers. I'm gonna cheat, and I can come back later and put the buttonhole, but because of like where it's lining up and everything, it's just, I don't want to permanently add a buttonhole to this just yet. But yeah, so I think I'm gonna connect it so the overlap is like pretty thick on this, from like here to here. It's like over an inch, but I think it'll work. And then I did want it to be like a little bit more open, but again, I should have taken more off where the button placket was. I knew it was going to be a lot, and I still didn't adjust well enough. But yeah, besides that, the only other thing is the armpits are just like a little bit too baggy. So I'm just going to take a little bit of length off this. I'm not even going to redo the binding and everything. I'm just going to take this length off. I was almost thinking about like putting a button here and sewing it on, like a fake button again, also an option, just to like really bring in. But I want to, I think, make a full, I'm just flopping this around. I want to take off from the full seam because again, the back is like a little bit too overlappy. So maybe if I take just a little bit more off of the whole thing, everything will be more proportionate. All right, so all that to say, there's 2 steps left. Adjust the side seam to make it a little thinner and add the button, which I'm just gonna not even do a buttonhole. I'm gonna cheat. So 2 easy things. Let's do it. Okay, we're gonna try 1/2 inch to start on the side seam. See if that works. Okay, so I realized I do need to redo the bias. It just was so funky. So I did a really sloppy job on this first try. So now we're gonna try the other side. And this time we'll take off the bias first, and then we will do our 1/2 inch extra seam. So luckily I do the bias in the armpit, usually start and end it anyway, so I don't have to take off the whole thing, just this little part. Luckily my bobbin still has a tiny bit of purple thread left. Okay, so that really sucked, so I didn't actually film it, but we do have the binding. It looks worse, but at least it fits now. So my redoing the binding without taking it entirely off is so hard. So my tip to you is don't mess it up in the first place. Try on your piece before you put the binding on, which I did, but just never know. But anyway, we're through it, and it looks okay, and maybe I'll redo it eventually, but not today. Okay, so all that's left now is the button, and then we're done. Let's sew on the button. First we have to choose one, and then we'll sew it up. Okay, dang, I had hoped I had like a magenta color to go with this, but no such luck. So our options are green, got a couple of greens. This one's kind of the most exciting. Or this like dark purple. Actually, this kind of matches better, I think. I think it might be the purple. I kind of want it to be bigger though. I don't think this one is the right color. No, too bright. This one like is just so small. Maybe this blue one? All right, we're going with the blue. Can always change it. And that's another thing with putting buttonholes on things. You have to choose the size of your button. So if you ever want to change your button to a different size button, then you can't do the button. Anyway, purple thread, blue button, finishing. What do we think? Is this the right spot? All right, y'all, with that, my squiggly top is all done. Yay, this was such a fun make. I've been thinking about it for a while, and I'm so glad that I spontaneously just decided to do this instead of what I had planned for today. This was so fun. It felt pretty creative and exciting, and I love it. I love how the squiggle turned out. It's not the kind of scallop look that I was picturing originally, but I think the squiggle itself matches the print of this fabric so much better with the way that it looks, you know, kind of imperfect and just fun. And so I just feel so squiggly. I love it. I'm glad that I adjusted the armpits. It definitely fits a lot better now. And the one note that I had that I already mentioned was that I should have accounted a little bit more of the length because of the button placket on the original pattern. So other than that, I'm feeling so happy with this. I originally pictured it with my little striped purple button pants, so I'm loving it with these. This is such a fun little summer fit to add to my current summer wardrobe, which as we get to the end of the summer, it feels like I've been wearing the same stuff over and over again. So it's fun to mix it up and to have something new to throw in for these last few weeks of the hot and the heat and the humidity. All right, I'd call that a smash success. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you had a good time. Let me know what pattern you want to hack down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.